Narayan Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Rire Nashtuprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavatasya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 16, the pastimes of the Lord in his childhood and youth. Text 50 onwards. So we were discussing how Nimai Pandit met Keshav Kashmiri, a scholar from Kashmir, and he asked him to speak something in glories of Mother Ganges. So Keshav Kashmiri, within 1 hour, he spoke 100 verses in glories of Mother Ganges. So Nimai Pandit picked up one verse. He said, can you explain the meaning of it and tell me the faults and the good points in this verse? And Keshav Kashmiri said, there cannot be any faults in my poem or whatever I have created. So Nimai Pandit told him the first he told the good points, and now he is coming to the fault. So Nimai Pandit said, the Lord concluded, now therefore let us carefully scrutinize this verse. The poet replied, yes, the verse you have recited is perfectly correct. Vyakarniya tumi nahi pada alankar, tumi ki janive kavitve rasar. You are an ordinary student of grammar. What do you know about literary embellishments? You cannot review this poetry because you do not know anything about it. Keshav Kashmiri first wanted to love Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by saying that since he was not an advanced student in literary style, he could not review a verse full of metaphors and literary ornaments. This argument has some basis. So unless one is a medical man, he cannot criticize a medical man. And unless one is a lawyer, he cannot criticize a lawyer. Therefore, Keshav Kashmiri first depreciated the Lord's position. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to champion a student of grammar, how could he dare criticize a great poet like him? Lord Chaitanya therefore criticized a poet in a different way. He said that although he was certainly not advanced in a literary career, he had heard from others how to criticize such poetry. And as a Shrutidhara, possessing a complete memory, he could understand the process for such a review. Prabhu kahe nate puchiye tomare, vichariya guna dosh bujavat amare. Taking a humble position, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, because I'm not on your level, I've asked you to teach me by explaining the faults and good qualities in your poetry. Nahi badi alankar kari ache shravan, tate eish loke dekhi bahu doshagun. Certainly, I have not studied the art of literary embellishments, but I have heard from higher circles, and thus I can review this verse and find in it many faults and many good qualities. Wow. The statement Kariyachi Shravan, I have heard it, is very important in the sense that hearing is more important than directly studying or perceiving. If one is expert in hearing and hears from the right source, his knowledge is immediately perfect. This process is called the Shrota Pantha, or the acquisition of knowledge by hearing from authorities. All Vedic knowledge is based on the principle that one must approach a bona fide spiritual master and hear from him the authoritative statements of the Vedas. It is not necessary for one to be a highly polished literary man to receive knowledge. To receive perfect knowledge from perfect person, one must be expert in hearing. This is called the descending process of deductive knowledge, or Avaropapanta. So that is the best way of learning. Yes, one can study, but it will take long time. If one hears, just like Parikshit Maharaj also, he just sat down and heard from Shukdev Goswami. And Shukdev Goswami, because he had studied the scriptures and he could properly analyze what to tell Parikshit Maharaj, how to tell, so he told properly. So that's the best way of learning, actually. कवि कहे कह देखी कौन गुण दोष प्रभु कहेन कहे सुन न करे दोष. The poet said, all right, let me see what good qualities and faults you have found. The Lord replied, let me speak and please hear me without becoming angry. Panch dosh eish loke panch alankara krame ami kahe shun karaha vichar. My dear sir, in this verse there are 5 faults and 5 literary ornaments. I shall state them one after another. Kindly hear me and then give your judgment. And this is enough for any scholar to be disturbed that 5 faults in my composition. How is it possible? In the words beginning with Mahatvam Gangaya, there are 5 literary ornaments and 5 examples of faulty composition. The 2 examples of the fault called Avimrishta Vidhyansha, and 1 example, each of the faults, Virudhamati, Punar Ukti, and Bhagna Kram. Then just imagine, we don't even know the names of all these faults. So this is the grammatical rules or literary rules, and one should avoid these faulty compositions. So avimrishta vidheyansha. Vimrisht means clean and vidheyansha means predicate. It's a general rule of composition to establish a subject first and then give its predicate. For example, according to Sanskrit grammar, if one says, this man is learned, his composition is in order. But if one says, learned is this man, the composition is not in order. Such a flaw is called avimrishta vidheyansha dosha, or the fault of unclean composition. The subject matter to be known of the verse is a glorification of the Ganges, and therefore the word idam, this, or what is known, should have been placed before instead of after the glorification. The subject matter already known should be placed before the unknown so that its meaning will not be misconstrued. So we can go back to the verse to find out exactly what he said. And why it is, what was wrong with it. So he says, the greatness of Mother Ganges always brilliantly exists. Okay. She is the most fortunate because she emanated from the lotus feet of Lord Shri Vishnu. The personality of God. She's the second goddess of fortune and therefore she's. So the greatness of Mother Ganges. Okay, somehow it is, it's not proper, it says. Okay. The second instance of avimrishta vidhyansha dosha occurs in the words Dvitiya Shri Lakshmi Eva. In this composition, the word Dvitiya, second, is vidheya or unknown. So Dvitiya for what? Shri Lakshmi Eva. Placing the unknown first to make the compound word Dvitiya Shri Lakshmi is another fault. The words Dvitiya Shri Lakshmi Riva were intended to compare the Ganges to the goddess of fortune, but because of this fault, the meaning of the compound word was bewildering. And the third fault is that of Viruddhamati, or contradictory conception. In the words Bhavani Bhartu. Yeah, this was something I remembered. The word Bhavani refers to wife of Bhav, or Lord Shiva. So Bhavani means wife of Lord Shiva. But since Bhavani is already known as the wife of Lord Shiva, to add the word Bharta, husband, thus forming a compound meaning, the husband of the wife of Lord Shiva. Bhavani Bhartu means is contradictory, for thus it appears as if the wife of Lord Shiva had another husband. Very, very subtle meanings here. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Jagannath Puri, it was many poets used to come to meet him, to show him their poetry. Poetry in the sense how they have glorified the Lord, whether Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagannath, Lord Jagannath, or Krishna. But Mahaprabhu would get disturbed by hearing something which was not proper. The meaning is not proper, or maybe it has some Mayavadi tinge to it. So Swarup Damodar Goswami used to read first whatever is brought to him. And then if it is okay, if he okays it, then Mahaprabhu would listen to it. So something here, Bhavani Bhartu, for us, so we don't even know anything, so it would make perfect sense. But no, according to the rules of grammar, Bhavani, it means right? Bhavani means wife of Bhav, or Lord Shiva. So Bhartu means husband or maintainer. So is there somebody else who is maintaining the wife of Lord Shiva other than her husband? The fourth fault is punarapti, or redundancy, which occurs when the word vibhavati flourishes, which should have ended the composition, is further qualified by the unnecessary adjective adbhut guna, endowed with wonderful qualities. The fifth fault is bhagnakram, which means broken order. In the first, third, and fourth line, there is anupras, or alliteration, created by the sounds ta, ra, and bha. But in the second line, there is no such anupras, and therefore the order is broken. This is the beauty of Sanskrit language. And I mean, wonderful scholar Keshav Kashmiri, and he composed these verses, and on top of it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is God himself, so he found the faults. But going by these logics and by these rules, Jiva Goswami has written so many literatures, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and what they have given is perfect. Means, first, they are such big scholars, and then secondly, obviously, they are helped by Lord Chaitanya. Otherwise, it's not possible to write so much. Prabhupada gave commentaries, but they wrote original Sanskrit verses with following the rules of Sanskrit. And that is why Prabhupada was very careful when he said, do not listen to anybody else. No need to, because of course we don't know all these rules, but still the message could be wrongly presented. So better listen to Acharyas or the Goswamis, then we'll be in the right path. Avimrishta videyansha duitai china viruddha mati bhagna krama punar ata doshatina. In this verse, the fault of avimrishta vidyansha occurs twice, and the faults of viruddhamati, bhagnakram, and punar ata occur once each. Gangara mahatva shloka mula vidheya idam shabde anuvad pache avidheya. The glorification of the Ganges, Mahatvam Gangaya, is a principal unknown subject matter in this verse, and the known subject matter is indicated by the word idam, which has been placed after the unknown. So, idam Gangaya. Videya age kahi pache kahile anuvad, ei lagi shlokera artha kariya che bad. Because you have placed the known subject at the end and that which is unknown at the beginning, the composition is faulty and the meaning of the words has become doubtful. Anuvadam anukteva na vidheyam udirayet nahi alabdhas padam kinchit kutrachit pratishtati. Without first mentioning what is known, one should not introduce the unknown, for that which has no solid basis can never be established anywhere. So this is a verse from Ekadashi Tattva. Okay. Dvitiya Shri Lakshmi Dvitiyatva Videya Samase Gauna Haila Shabdartha Gela Kshaya. In the word Dvitiya Shri Lakshmi, a second all opulent goddess of fortune, the quality of being a second Lakshmi is unknown. In making this compound word, the meaning became secondary and the originally intended meaning was lost. द्वितीय शब्द विधेय तथा पढ़ैला समासे Lakshmi samata artha karila vinashe. Because the word dvitiya, second, is unknown, in its combination in this compound word, the intended meaning of equality with Lakshmi is lost. Avimrishta vidheyanshe dosherana ar ek dosha ache shunna samta. Not only is there a fault, avimrishta vidheyansha, but there is also another fault, which I shall point out to you. Kindly hear me with great attention. Bhavani Bhartri Shabda Dille Paya Sant Viruddhamati Kritanam Ei Mahadosh. Here is another great fault. You have arranged the word Bhavani Bhartri to your great satisfaction, but this betrays the fault of contradiction. Bhavani Shabde Kahe Mahadevar Grihini Tar Bharta Kahile Dvitiya Bharta Jani. The word Bhavani means the wife of Lord Shiva, but when we mention her husband, one might conclude that she has another husband. Shiva Patnira Bharta Iha Shunite Viruddha Viruddhamati Krita Shabda Shastre Nahe Shuddha. It is contradictory to hear that Lord Shiva's wife has another husband. The use of such words in literature creates a fault called Viruddhamati Krita. Brahmana Patnira Bhartara Haste Deha Dana Shabda Sunitei Hai Dvitiya Bharta Gyan. If someone says, place this charity in the hand of the husband of the wife of Brahman, when we hear these contradictory words, we immediately understand that the Brahman's wife has another husband. Vibhavati Kriyayavakya Sangapuna Visheshan Adbhut Guna E Punar Atadusha. The statement by the word Vibhavati, flourishes, is complete, qualifying it with adjective Adbhuta Gun, wonderful qualities, creates a fault of redundancy. Tin pade anupras dekhi anupam, ek pade nahi ei dosha bhagna kram. There is extraordinary alliteration in 3 lines of the verse, but in 1 line there is no such alliteration. This is a fault of deviation. Yadyapi ei shloke ache panch alankara, ei panch dosha shlok kaila charakara. Although there are 5 literary ornaments decorating this verse, the entire verse has been spoiled by these 5 most faulty presentations. Dash alankare yadi ek shloka haya, ek dosha sab alankara haya kshaya. If there are 10 literary ornaments in a verse, but even one faulty expression, the entire verse is nullified. Haya kshaya, it becomes null and void. Sundar sharir yache bhushan abhushita, ek shweta kushte yache karai vigita. One's beautiful body may be decorated with jewels, but one spot of white leprosy makes the entire body abominable. The great sage Bharat Muni, an authority on poetic metaphor, has given his opinion in this connection as follows. Rasalankarvat kavyam dosha yukacheda vibhushitam syad vapuh sundaram api shutrenikena durbhagam. As one's body, although well decorated with ornaments, is made unfortunate by even one spot of white leprosy, so an entire poem is made useless by a fault, despite alliteration, similes, and metaphors. Panchalankarere shunaha vichara, dui shabdalankaratin artha alankara. Now here the description of the 5 literary embellishments. There are 2 ornaments of sound and 3 ornaments of meaning. Shabdalankar tin pade ache anuprasa, Shri Lakshmi shabde puna ruktavadambhasa. There is a sound ornament of alliteration in 3 lines, and in the combination of the words Shri and Lakshmi, there is ornament of a tinge of redundancy. Pratham charane panchata karera panti, tritiya charane hai panchare fastiti. In the arrangement of the first line, the letter ta occurs 5 times, and the arrangement of the third line repeats the letter ra 5 times. Chaturtha charane chari bha kara prakasha atev shabda lankara anuprasa. In the 4th line, the letter bha occurs 4 times. This arrangement of alliteration is a pleasing ornamental use of sounds. Shri Shabde Lakshmi Shabde Eka Vastu Ukta Punarukta Praya Bhashe Nahe Punarukta. Although the words Shri and Lakshmi convey the same meaning and are therefore almost redundant, they are nevertheless not redundant. Shri Ukta Lakshmi Arte Ravi Bheda Punarukta Vad Avas Shabda Lankara Bheda. Describing Lakshmi as possessed of Shri, opulence, offers a difference in meaning with a tinge of repetition. This is the second ornamental use of words. Lakshmi Reva Artha Lankara Upama Prakasha Ara Artha Lankara Che Nama Virodha Bhasa. The use of the words Lakshmi Reva, like Lakshmi, manifests the ornament of meaning called Upama, analogy. There is also the further ornament of meaning called Virodhabhas, or contradictory indication. Gangate Kamala Janme Sabar Subodha, Kamale Gangara Janma Atyanta Virodha. Everyone knows that lotus flowers grow in the water of the Ganges, but to say that the Ganges takes birth from a lotus flower seems extremely contradictory. Iha Vishnu Pad Padme Gangara Utpati Virodhalankar Iha Maha Chamatkriti. The existence of Mother Ganges begins from the lotus feet of the Lord. Although this statement that water comes from a lotus flower is contradictory in connection with Lord Vishnu, it's a great wonder. Ishvara Chintya Shakti Gangara Prakasha Iha Te Virodha Nahi Virodha Abhasa. In this birth of the Ganges by the inconceivable potency of the Lord, there is no contradiction, although it appears contradictory. So, although it appears contradictory, although Prabhupada gives long purport to it, I'll just go to the next verse. Well, till this communication, this conversation goes on, I guess we'll take it up tomorrow. It's amazing how any composition can be broken or analyzed in this ways. Yes, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Amazing, Prabhuji, very amazing.
And this is just one shloka and one
Yes.
kind. I don't know how many different kinds of faults and gunas are there.
And that too, he has just said it like anything, like in a repetition. He didn't repeated it or anything. He just said
Yeah.
once and he picked it from that, and he is just finding fault on that. Oh my God.
Yeah, Sanskrit is very deep language. And on top, when Ved Vyasi composed everything, all the Puranas, Itihas, Vedas, Mahabharata, everything, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Ganeshji was writing it down. Can you imagine Ved Vyasi not making a single mistake in any of the shlokas?
Yes. So I think Vedvyasji is also said to be as a incarnation of Krishna, no? Means some Shaktavesh.
Yes, but
Yeah,
just imagine the
yeah,
composition without any
actually.
fault.
Yes, actually.
Wow.
This is really amazing. Actually.
Prabhuji, honestly speaking, मेरे तो faults ही समझ में नहीं आ रहे.
मुझे भी नहीं आया एक्चुअली कि फॉल्ट है क्या. सब तो बढ़िया लग रहा है. बट है
सबसे सुन ही जा रही, मतलब मेरे को ये लग रहा है पढ़ भी रही हूँ, सुन भी रही हूँ, कहाँ गलती है भाई. सब तो ठीक है.
This is what we should appreciate the knowledge that we had earlier.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All the Brahmins and all that, the knowledge that they had. Wow. Chalo, let's stop here. You all are safe and wonderful. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri
Hare
Ram.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Jai
Thank
Shri
you.
Prabhupada.